And good evening, Sword family. Feels like I haven't seen you guys in a week. Well, I saw some of you on Monday, but we're back to our regularly scheduled Teahouse for the month of November. And as we discussed last time, when we did our special Halloween episode, we're going to be spending this entire month, which really is only the next, three or four? Next 4 Saturdays discussing female Chinese folk heroes. As we did 3 male Chinese folk heroes in October, we're going to do 3 or 4 in November. If I can possibly get a hold of one of the many female HEMA practitioners that I messaged on Facebook a few months ago, if I can get a hold of one of them and get them on here for November, then we will do 3 folk heroes plus a tea time, which we haven't had a tea time since, oh God, I don't think we've done a tea time since Sifu Cuddle was on. Oops. That's all right, though. That's okay, because I've had a lot of fun researching and finding information on people that I didn't even know, and that's exactly how I came across the woman we'll be discussing here today. I was going to do it on just Mulan because of all of the female folk heroes in China, Mulan is probably one of the most well-known, and that is honestly entirely because of Disney, at least over here in the West. And when I did my video a couple months ago and talked about several different women in Chinese history, I mentioned Wu Zetian and I mentioned Hua Mulan, but it was very short little sections. I wasn't actually able to go into any kind of detail on them. So I was going to do just Mulan here today. Then I came across a article from a website talking about the real Mulan. Because as we discussed that day, Mulan might possibly not be an actual person. We don't really have a whole lot of evidence that she was actually a person. It was kind of a, it's a myth, a legend. But there were people, several different people that you could, combine into one person, and that one person became Mulan. So I've been researching this whole last week about the person we're going to be talking about today. And that is Qín Liángyù. Qín Liángyù. And like I said, the article described her as the real Mulan. So this is going to be an interesting one. If you've seen, the 2 animated Disney movies plus the live action Disney movie, there are some parallels. And I also saw a YouTube video on Liángyù. I will put it in the comments later. It's in Chinese, but it is subtitled. So if you don't want to read subtitles, then you don't have to. But it was a very interesting, relatively short video. I think it's like 8 minutes. Something like 8 minutes long. Let me go find that again because I have it in my history over on YouTube. Yeah, it's like 8 minutes and 35 seconds long. So it's not a terribly long video. And I'll go ahead and throw that in the comments in a little bit. And I'll probably put it in the description after we're done here so that people can look at that again. So once we're done here, feel free to go and watch that video. Like I said, it is subtitled. So if you don't want to, read, then you don't have to. But it was a very interesting video. So, speaking of comments, okay then. And first through the door, 2 hours early, is, of course, my lovely Foxy. Hello and welcome to the Teahouse. Join us as we discuss the legendary Mulan and try to decide fact from fiction. Not this time. This is going to be an actual person that we actually know exists. But Mulan was kind of the inspiration for finding this person. This is someone that I didn't know before this last week. So Mulan was kind of an inspiration. And next up is Dan Hollifield. Good evening, Dan. Evening, Dan. Find myself craving buttermilk and cornbread, but had a bowl of chili less than an hour ago. Well, Foxy loves cornbread. A lot of people seem to like chili and cornbread. I don't like either. So I'm like, I guess, in the minority on that one. Baked chili with cornbread on top. Yes, you have. Me too. Had that, but didn't make it ourselves. Yeah, well. Now this, also dipped a glazed donut into chili. My brother dared me, then he did it too. Wasn't bad. That's why, every relationship has nicknames for each other. And you get the cutesy things like baby and honey and love. And one of hers is chili cheese donut. This right here is why. So if anyone ever hears me call her chili cheese donut, now you know why. Exactly this right here. Maybe I'll make that for dinner on Monday. Well, you're more than welcome to. Not tomorrow since we have Sunday dinner with his folks. Yes, we do. Every Sunday. Better stop with the food talk or Thesis might skip the stream and just eat supper. No. Isn't that kind of par for the course with us? Someone has to talk. Actually, we haven't really talked about food a whole lot lately. It's kind of unusual for us, isn't it? Wow. Yeah. Foxy giggling. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. There, now he'll say it. Yep. Dan got his barn solar panel banks out in the middle of the floor. Could have used Joe Bachman's help with the heavy lifting. Yeah. And there's Kitty. Hey, y'all. Hello, kitten. I bet. Hey, Kitty. Way over 200 pounds each, and the main one has to go up on a countertop. Ugh. Greetings for Kitty. Lot for one person to be moving. Yeah. Still easier than a whole day of throwing hay bales up on a truck. And Houston, Texas, Dave is joining us. Almost tea time. Hello, Dave. Greetings for Dave. Good point, Dan. Dave greeting Dan and Foxy. And Uncle Carl is joining us. Hello, everyone. Hello, Carl. Hey, Dave, how goes? Hello, Carl. And there's Aunt Donna. Hey, everyone. Hello, Donna. Being raised on a farm has its advantages. I doubt the factory would have been bearable without that upbringing. You're probably not too far from the truth. Greetings for Donna. Greetings for Carl. Get that, Dan. Being raised on a farm is sure a different way of things. More greetings for Donna. And Ruby is joining us. Evening. Hello, Ruby. Hey, Ruby. Glad to see you. Hi, Ruby. Glad to be here. Hey, Donna and Ruby. Greetings to me. Showtime. Yep. And there's our lone Twitch viewer over there, Midnight. Hey, Sword Peoples. Hello, Midnight. And there is Joe. Howdy, folks. Hello, Joe. Liked and shared. Thank you. I appreciate it. Greetings for Joe. More greetings for Joe. Greetings to me. More greetings for Joe. And Trey is joining us. Hey, all. Hello, Trey. And more greetings for Trey. And more greetings for Trey. Quiet for anyone else? My levels look good to me. Let me check my audio. No. Looks okay to me. Let me see if I can. I can, but how's that? Is that better? I turned up my my volume on the people tab. Sounds good here. Okay, that's good. Hello, puppy. There's my pupper. Yeah, hi, bud. Come over here. Just wanted to make sure whether it was the TV or not. How did everyone like the important announcement? Yes. Yes, yes, yes. That was filmed literally last Saturday, since I wasn't doing a Teahouse. We walked across the dirt field right over here, and there's a little parking lot that's owned by a car dealership. There was nobody there. The sun was not quite set yet, so I had perfect light. And I filmed that, came back home, edited it, got it through Clipchamp, and then it sat on my hard drive for almost a week. Because I wanted to release it right before the green room. That was the entire plan on that, was to do it right before the green room. I was hoping that I would get to see at least a couple of people react to it live, and I did. It was good. It was good. And speaking of that, hold on a second. Hold on. Hold on. Wait. Let me take Foxy's comment down first. Cracks out. Yes. Announcement was good. I'm glad of his wardrobe choice. Like I said, that one during Creative to Play was a one-time event. Never going to happen again. So Dan enjoyed it. Mulan is good. Mulan, there were people that hated the live action, and I'm one of the very few people that was just like, it was fine. It's a good movie. I don't know. Pretty sure one lung is still inside out. Well, you're welcome. And Sarah is joining us and listening. Hello, Sarah. Good to see you again. Greetings for Sarah. Greetings for Sarah. More greetings for Sarah. Nice to be listening to the show. And we are very, very glad to have you here, Sarah. Very, very nice. Nice to have you, Sarah. It always is. Co-star time. And now I think he's back to chewing. He's either back to chewing on his antler or he's eating. I can hear crunching. Dropped his antler to go say hi to everyone. Good. Now back to chomping. That's what I thought. Oh, Trey. Go and check your Facebook Messenger, please. I sent you a message a little while ago. I have a question. You don't need to do it right now. Just, sometime tonight. And more greetings for Sarah. Okay, so, as I said, Qín Liángyù. I was doing some research on Mulan, and I came across this article. I might possibly be able to... Excuse me. Share screens just so you can see. This is also where I got the picture for the thumbnail. So let's go ahead and share screens. Right here. Add to stage. There you go. This article is 5 Amazing Women in Chinese Legend and Literature for International Women's Day. And look who number 1 is. Hua Mulan. Look at that. But number 2, think that Mulan was far-fetched and someone like her must be fictional? Please meet Qín Liángyù. And there's the picture I used for the thumbnail. This is from dimsumwarriors.com. Let me go ahead and drop that link in the chat for everybody. So you can see it's a very, very nice picture with the whole sword in one hand and book in the other. Love you guys. Antlers after. I saw that. Oh, wow. Yeah. Car took them off a minute ago. Yeah. I'm glad that everybody's okay, though. Those were definitely some not terribly good pictures. Nice to be here. I'm always glad to see you, Sarah, because I know you can't always make it to all of my streams. So it's definitely nice when you're able to grace us with your dark presence. Wow, yeah. Yikes is right. Okay, so Qín Liángyù, that picture is a 19th century painting. So that painting came around probably 200 years after Liángyu's death. She died in the mid-1600s. She was born in 1574 and died in 1648. So she made it over 70 years, which for that time period and for a woman and for an actual military general, making it 70 years is impressive. Now, she was born in Zhongzhou in Sichuan province, and her father believed that just because she was a girl, he believed that she should get the exact same education as the boys. So she studied right alongside her brothers history, Confucianism, martial arts, and it's said that she was actually better in martial arts, archery, and horse riding than her brothers. And she was an accomplished poet, hence the picture of the sword in one hand and the book in the other. It's, the dichotomy of the warrior and the poet. You need both sides to be decent at life. Now, her father was a minor official from his time taking the civil service examination, which, to study for the civil service examination, you need to study Confucianism, martial arts, history, math. These are all things that you need to take the exam. Maybe one of these days, I will do an entire show just on this exam, because it's actually really, really impressive. This exam, I think, I'm not 100% sure on this one, but I think that this examination only came about because of Wu Zetian. Remember when we did our last show a couple of months ago, and I talked about Wu Zetian being the only female emperor and her being the one that basically made it so becoming an official was no longer about just who you knew, but she actually implemented so that it was about what you know. That's the imperial examination. So when her father became a minor official, he wanted all of his children, his daughter included, to know the things necessary to take and pass the exam. He wanted to make sure that she was able to take a position with the government. Working when those were sent in a text, jarring AF. Yeah, I can imagine. Yes, a very educated warrior. This is true. Lazy pup wants me to hold his antler so he can chop. Well, you encourage him to be lazy. So, in 1595, so she was 18 or 19 years old, give or take. She married Ma Qiancheng, who was also an official. He was a tuzi, which is like a chieftain or a tribal leader. So she married him, and she accompanied him into battle against local warlords. So at, 18 or 19 years old, or 17 or 18, something like that, she was already accompanying a chieftain into battle. And it stated that they had a very good marriage, and he often sought her counsel because of her knowledge from training as a child. He wanted to know, like, here's the situation. What do you think we should do? Instead of just being, oh, I'm the man, I know what's best, he sought his wife's counsel. And in 1599, a rebellion started in Bozhou. Ma Qianqiang brought 3,000 soldiers with him, and Qín Liángyù was able to bring an additional 500 troops with her. And they stopped the rebellion and destroyed all of the rebel camps, just their group. But unfortunately, in 1613, her husband offended a court eunuch and ended up being imprisoned and died. So they were only married for, they were married for a while, like almost 20 years. That's not, it's not bad. But that was kind of the end of her husband. And because she was the wife, she took over his position in Shizhou County. And she started a military unit called the White Cavalry. I don't know exactly why it was called the White Cavalry, but that was also known as the White Pole Armory. That's what it was. That's right. Duh. They were the White Pole Army, not armory. The White Pole Army, and they were called that because the shafts. I know. Hold on. Wait. The shafts of their, like, spears and pole arms were made from white waxwood. So they all had white poles. So they were the White Pole Army. And in Chinese, that is the Bai Gan Bing. Bai is white. Gan is like a spear pole. And Bing is soldier. So Bai Gan Bing. And just for fun, her name, Liángyù, means very good jade. So, yeah. I'm going to, once again, just for fun, stick this even though it's in the title of the show. That is what her name looks like in Chinese characters. Qín is the surname, and Liángyù, very good jade. Now, I was not able to find any information whatsoever on whether she is related to the first emperor of China, Qin Huang. I could find no connection between them. So I don't... Oh, hey, Don. Welcome in. Doesn't matter if you're late, you're here. Lots of greetings for Don. I think even the surname character for her and Qin Shi Huang are different. So it's the same name, but I think it is a different character. Oh, maybe not. Now it's the same one. Huh. That is odd. They're using the same character, which is the same radical, but I can't find any indication that they were related. Huh. Interesting. Well, more research may be incoming. But she is now the head of the White Pole Army after her husband's death. And in 1620, her elder brother led 3,000 White Pole soldiers to Liaodong to resist the Manchu invasion. And he was later killed in battle. So she kind of was taking over more and more and more of the White Pole Army as other commanders and things passed. She's taking over more and more of the army. And 3 years later, she assists the Ming forces in suppressing the Shi'an rebellion, which is an army led by Shi Chongming and An Bayang. So Shi'an rebellion. It's named after the surnames of the two leaders of the group. 1624, another brother was killed by An Bangyang's forces. She's losing family members. 1630, the Manchu invaders reach the capital, and she takes forces from Sichuan to reinforce the capital army. The emperor showed her praise in poetry and presented her with poems that he wrote as she marched through Beijing. 1634, another rebel army invades her home county. So her and her son led troops back home to attack the rebels defeated them and drove them out of the county. 1640, another rebel force comes in. She defeats them yet again. And in recognition of all of her contributions to the Ming dynasty, the emperor appoints her as guardian of the crown prince and awards her the title of Marquis Zhongjin. So after all of these battles and all of these rebellions that she quashed, she is appointed the guardian of the crown prince and a marquis. These are not minor accomplishments here, people. This is a woman general that fights in multiple rebellion battles, wins them all, every single one of them, in service to the Ming dynasty. And the emperor himself is like, you are now the guardian of the crown prince. That is insane. Now, compare this to the story of Mulan. You have a female who takes her father's place, goes and joins the army because the family is conscripted because of the invading Han army. The emperor decrees that every single family in China, yes, absolutely big respect for her, every single family in China must send one male to join the army to suppress the Han rebellion. Mulan's family has no males in the family besides her father, who was in the army before. And that's how he ended up crippled, because he fell in battle. He didn't die, but he was injured in battle. So the family has no choice, because this is an imperial decree. Every family has to send one male. There's only one male in the family. That male's going to war. You don't have a choice. So father has to go. And Mulan is like, no, that's not happening. So she steals the decree, steals her father's armor, steals his sword, and goes and rides off to go join the Imperial Army. Fights in multiple battles. Of course, the whole time pretending to be a man, because the decree was for male soldiers. Fights in multiple battles. Well, first goes through the entire training to become an imperial soldier. Goes through multiple battles. Gets discovered that she's actually a woman. Gets basically ostracized. The Han army invades where? Where does the Han army end up? In the imperial city, attacking the palace where the emperor resides. Mulan rides in, saves the day, gets heaps of praise from the emperor himself. You can see the parallels here, right? The biggest difference here is Liángyù never had to pretend to be a man to do these things. She was just standing there in battle, standing beside her husband, at least in the beginning, going, yeah, I'm a woman. What are you going to do about it? I was trained alongside my brothers. I was better than my brothers in martial arts, in archery, in horseback riding. What are you going to do about it? And she defeats all of these rebellions with obviously the help of her white pole army, but still, this is an army led by a woman defeating all of these rebellions and in service to the Ming Dynasty. The emperor himself is like, oh yeah, you get to be the guardian of the crown prince, and I'm going to bestow upon you the title of Marquis because of everything that you have done for me, for the dynasty, and for this country. You can see why the article that I read called her the real-life Mulan. If Mulan did not exist, if it was just a story, a legend, Qín Liángyù read that story as a child and went, okay, we're going to do this, but we're going to flip the script. We're going to do this as myself. I'm not going to pretend. I'm going to be me, but I'm still going to kick ass. And that's exactly what she did. Because, as I said, she was born in 1574, which was during the Ming Dynasty. The Ming Dynasty was from 1368 to 1644. So the Ming Dynasty ended, the whole dynasty ended 4 years before she died. That dynasty lasted almost 300 years. Now, the Han Dynasty, which is my preferred dynasty, because a lot of cool stuff happened during the Han Dynasty, lasted from 202 BCE to 220 AD. So you got to remember, BCE is counting backwards. So you had 202 years from 202 to essentially, 0. That's 202 years of the Han Dynasty. And then from, the year 1 of ACE to 220, that's 230 years. That's 400 years. 400 plus. I mean, there was a little bit like from 9 AD to 23 AD. There was a Qin dynasty. It only lasted about 14 years. So that's why most don't actually consider it. Most people say Han Dynasty lasted from 202 BCE to 220 ACE. That little 14-year span of the Qin Dynasty, it's a footnote. There was some stuff that happened there, obviously, but That's 400 plus years. The Ming Dynasty, 1368 to 1644, is almost 300 years. And there's a lot of, as you can tell from her life, there's a lot of rebellion happening during that time. So having a dynasty lasting that long during a time of strife, during a time of rebellion, it lasting that long is pretty impressive. And this woman is a lot of the reason why. You got to keep in mind, China, like a lot of places, didn't really think much of women. They still kind of don't. But female generals were not very prominent at all. So to have this one not only leading an army, but leading a winning army is still pretty damn impressive. All of these battles that she fought in and won. And her brothers died. Her brothers were killed in some of these battles that she survived. You got to take that into account. You got to think about that. Her brothers, the men in her family, were being killed in these battles, and she's riding out of them not only alive, but victorious. She's winning these battles. Yes, exactly, Carl. One tough lady. You're not kidding. Don't mess with nor underestimate the power of PMS around her. Even I'd be running for. Well, you got to keep in mind, Sarah, she was trained in spearmanship, horseback riding, archery, various martial arts. Yeah, you probably don't want to be around someone like that when they're PMSing. She could pick up a spear and run your ass through on horseback. You running for safety, she just hops on her horse, grabs a bow, and just goes, keep running. Go ahead, run away. Makes it a harder target for me. She was definitely impressive. But, like everyone, eventually she was going to have to face death. And in 1644, the Ming Empire was overthrown by rebel forces led by Li Zicheng. And all of the former territories were conquered by the Qing dynasty. Well, actually, it was the Jin dynasty, but they later renamed that the Qing dynasty, which is basically the last imperial dynasty. It went from 1644 to 1912. After that, basically the imperial line, the imperial families, it kind of became not quite a democracy, but that was the end of like imperial rule. Now, there were some Ming loyalists that formed a remnant state in southern China called the Southern Ming Dynasty. They wanted to resist the Qing. And the Southern Ming Dynasty's emperor also granted Liángyù a marquee. And one of the rebel armies from 10 years before, his name was Jiang Xianzong, no, Jiang Xianzhong, invaded Sichuan again, and Liángyù attempted to resist, but that battle she was defeated and had to retreat. So then Xianzhong was able to conquer most of Sichuan. But she told the White Pole Army not to surrender. She told them, don't surrender to this guy. I'm going to retreat. We're going to rethink this, but you guys are not allowed to surrender. And she retreated back to Shizhou County and created a policy of self-sufficient agriculture. So she basically had farmland, and she kind of instituted a policy of, you farm your crops, you farm your crops, you trade crops back and forth so that we don't have to leave our county. We stay here. This is our spot. Which made that region very, very attractive for refugees who are fleeing the Qing dynasty. And she helped probably around 100,000 refugees settle in Shizhou County. So you kind of have to give it to her. She had one small area to herself. She invited refugees in, helped them settle in this one county, and they were self-sufficient. They were able to stay there. They didn't have to go outside of the area to go into Qing dynasty areas to get food, because they were able to do what they needed for themselves. And unfortunately, in 1648, she died in Yachun village in Shizhou County. And she was given the posthumous name Zhongjun, which means loyal and chaste. Now, if you remember, when she was appointed the crown prince's guardian, she was given the title Marquis Zhongjun, which is the loyal and chaste marquis. So her posthumous name is the title of marquis that she was given by the emperor. And she was survived by her son, Ma Xianglin. So that was the end of Qín Liángyù. But you absolutely have to talk about her legacy. Because in Shizhou County, her armor and her weapons are in a museum. So you can go today to Shizhou County in China and see her armor, her weapons, and read about her life. There is also a statue of her in Ganyu Hall in Shibaozhai in Zhong County. She is, along with Mulan, Liang Hongyu, and He Yufeng. She is one of the most well-known female warriors and heroines in all of China. So we might discuss He Yufeng and Liang Hongyu for our at least two of our other folk heroes for the rest of this month. There is a book called The 24 Histories. It is a collection of official stories detailing all of the dynasties in China, and Qín Liángyù was the only woman whose biography was listed in the 24 Histories. The only one. So you can very easily see why she is one of the people that I chose to discuss here for Chinese Folk Hero Women's Month. Now, she also is a door goddess, or a Munshen. These are paintings that are put on the front doors of places as guardians. You'll have a male on one side and a female on the other. Or they're both male, or they're both female. Qín Liángyù is usually partnered with Mu Guiying, which is another female Song dynasty figure. Someone else we might discuss this month. And she also is a special character that shows up in the Romance of the Three Kingdoms games. Not Dynasty Warriors, but the Romance of Three Kingdoms games. So you can see why she shows up as a general. Love that she danced on the box of conformity. Yes, she absolutely did. That's what I'm talking about. Yes. Now, I'm going to share this little link here because I mentioned I would, to the YouTube video that I found earlier this week. And as I said, I will also drop that in the description once we're done here, along with the earlier link to the Dim Sum Warriors page. That will also be in the description. That is kind of her life. She was trained in martial arts despite being a woman by her father. She married a general. She joined him on his campaigns. He sought her counsel during battles. He screwed up and pissed off a eunuch and ended up getting arrested and thrown in prison. She took over his army. Fought in several battles to quell rebellions against the Ming. The Han Ming, if you want to be real specific about it. I can talk about that later because, yeah, there's a rant there, a small one, you know. But she fought for the Ming Dynasty, quelling several rebellions. She got titles from the emperor. Then, unfortunately, the capital fell, and she was forced to retreat to a small county where she took a whole bunch of farmland and made a self-sufficient agricultural community until she died. Another informative episode. Thank you, Carl. Not really a whole lot more I can say on this subject, but we are at our hour. So, excellent show as always. Thank you, Joe. I want to give a very, very special shout out to my patrons, Dan Hollifield, Carl Witzman, Rich Asplin Jr., and Joe and Trelena Bachman. You guys are amazing. Maybe, possibly, perhaps, in a month or two, I might be able to take the proceeds from my Patreon and buy that spearhead trainer that I have been drooling over. You know, unless someone wants to give me a really, really awesome, you know, Christmas present. But as you know, I have brought this up multiple times, and I'm going to do it again. Because why the hell not? This thing right here, I'm very, very curious about. That would make it so that I could, first of all, do a review of it. Because I have not seen anything like this anywhere else. Yes, there are spear trainers on the market. There is a spear trainer over at Purple Heart. But this specific halberd design? Oh, piss off. Sorry. This specific kind of design, I have not seen anywhere else. Only here. So I want to be able to get my hands on this thing so that I can, number one, review it. So that people can, if there are other people out there that are interested in this kind of spearhead, but can only find metal ones to train with, and they want something safer, I want to be able to tell people if they should purchase this for training. So obviously, that's number one. I want to be able to review it so that there's other people out there that want a spearhead, that want a single halberd trainer. I can be the one to say, hey, get this or don't get it. Either way. But also, I have lots and lots of short form spear videos that I want to film. And the only spears I have are metal headed spears. And they're too big to do anything with in my small space here. So if I had something like this in my possession, I could put it on a smaller haft and be able to do things in a smaller space. So, yes, and I'm not begging, I'm not e-begging, don't get this twisted. I'm not trying to say anyone has to do anything for me, because if nothing else, it might take me a couple of months, but I can take the money from Patreon and buy this myself. But if there is someone out there in my sword family, in my audience, that wants to do something really, really special for me for Christmas, here you go, right here. I will personally film an unboxing video, even just for the person that gets it. Or if I end up doing it with Patreon funds, I will film an unboxing and it will be an exclusive to Patreon. Because besides the sword, this kind of single halberd spear is my second favorite weapon. And to have a training version, just, that would be amazing. Sorry. I know. Enough of that, right? So there you go. Yes, that was absolutely a weapon nerdgasm, and I am not ashamed of it one bit. Good show. Have a great evening. Yes, thank you, Don. Have a lovely rest of your weekend, everyone. You too. Was a great show. Thank you. Thank you, Dan. Seriously, thank you. Always learn something here for sure. That's the idea. That's kind of the whole point. Don't want to see Foxy. Hey, what about me? You don't want to see her speared with a steel spear. What about me? That's true. She does avoid it. But yes, I have. You know what? Hold on. Yeah, that's what I thought. I have two spears. One that is like gigantic. It barely fits in that room. And then I have the one where I got the spear head from my Sherfu and mounted it myself. That one's shorter. That one is the one that I used for my summer ad last year. That's the one. I basically made that myself, and I would, essentially be making this myself because it's just the spearhead with a little thread on the end. But yes, that is definitely something because, and I'm going to get a little bit personal here right now at the very end. Foxy and I are not really planning on doing Christmas this year. I personally don't see a whole lot right now to celebrate. So we're not going to do anything. I'm not planning on putting up a tree. I'm not putting any lights up. We're not doing a damn thing. But if some wonderful, amazing soul out there decided they wanted to get that for me, I would personally open it on camera, do an unboxing, maybe even get on Creative to Play and attach it to the haft. And I do kind of have an idea in my head to make my own spear tassel. Maybe I'll do that on Creative to Play. Make the whole damn unit right on camera for everyone to see. And then I would be able to train with it. I'd be able to do forms with it. And then I'd be able to review it. So that, as I said, if there's someone else out there in the world that wants a single halberd spear trainer, I can be the person that can say, yes, get this, or no, don't get this. Because as far as I know, that is the only one out there. I have not seen anything else on the market anywhere with that kind of spearhead. Yes, absolutely. There are spearhead trainers out there. When I did my Teahouse episode on trainers, I mentioned a company that makes wooden trainers, and they make spearheads, but they're all regular spearheads. The single halberd spearhead is the only one I've found. So to be able to be the first person to do a review of something like that, I think personally would be a boon to me, to my channel, and to the Chinese martial arts community at large. And yes, I know it's time for dinner, but this is kind of important to me because we're going to do something here really quick. There are spears in Chinese martial arts that are just regular spearheads. And then you're going to find single halberd and double halberd spearheads. Now, we're going to bring this up here. Excuse me. The difference between a single halberd and a double halberd are those little crescent-shaped blades on the side of the spearhead. This is a double halberd. It has a crescent-shaped blade on either side. Obviously, a single halberd only has the one on one side. And that looks like this. And then you just have regular spears that don't have these crescent blades on them. Now, the White Pole Army most likely were spearmen. And that is because the spear was a very effective battlefield weapon. So we're tying this all back to Qín Liángyù. I bet there were people in her army that used spears just like this one. So, Go away, Kickbot. I don't go away. I'm not paying for viewers. I'm not paying for views. Not going to do it. I don't care. Leave me alone. So that's something that I would very much appreciate. But again, I'm not e-begging. I'm not telling people to get this thing for me. I can get it myself. It just might take me a little while. But that is definitely something that I would very, very much appreciate. So, go through these last few comments. You're the one wielding. I don't often stab myself. That doesn't mean I've never stabbed myself. That would be a weird accident, but I'm not going to say it's never happened. One I am quite capable of, yeah. A week ago, I stabbed the back of my leg with my own toenail. Yes, you did. Jeez, and yes, it is time for dinner. So, as always, I will be back right here in 2 days for a new Nine Dragons play stream. We're going to go into Cave of Conquerors because that new armor has basically given me the ability to one-shot every single thing that I come across. And so, therefore, Cave of Conquerors ain't going to be that scary anymore. So, I will see you all on Monday. If I don't see you all on Monday, perhaps you'll see me on Wednesday over on the Indie CD channel at Creatives at Play if we're having a show. If not, I will be back right here next Saturday to talk about another female Chinese folk hero. Thank you all for coming. Once again, special shout out to all my patrons. You guys are awesome. But also to the Sword family at large. I love you guys so much. You guys make this so much fun. I will see you all next time. Good night, Dan. Good night, Carl. 再见。